High treetop nest, simple sticks. Mom and dad hover around, calling their approval like they've just built a luxury condo. Inside the nest, it's crowded. Your siblings are loud, pushy, and just as hungry as you. There's no such thing as taking turns. If you want food, you squawk louder than everyone else. Mom stays close, keeping you warm while dad flies back and forth with food. He works hard, bringing worms, insects, and whatever else he can scavenge. Occasionally, he shows up with something that probably was not meant for birds, but you eat it anyway. Sometimes, he gets help from other crows. Helpers are like the unpaid interns of the bird world, and they pitch in when there are too many beaks to feed. At first, the food is soft and pre-chewed. It is not exactly appetizing, but when Mom leans over and drops it into your beak, you are not in a position to be picky. After a week or two, the menu expands to include chunkier options. Worms, beetles, and other solid snacks become the new normal. You are growing fast, and apparently, that takes a lot of fuel. Beyond the nest, there's a whole world out there, but you don't care about that yet. Your only real priority is making sure you don't accidentally tumble out of the nest. It's a long drop, and you're pretty sure you wouldn't bounce. At around 1 month, Mom decides it's time for you to learn how to fly. You're not sure how wings are supposed to work, but you flap them anyway. Your first attempt ends with a graceful belly flop onto a lower branch not ideal. The second try is worse. You miss the branch entirely and end up in a pile of leaves on the ground. If anyone asks, you meant to do that. After a few days of bruised pride and questionable aerodynamics, you finally manage to stay in the air. Flying feels incredible until you realize you have no idea how to land. You aim for a branch, misjudge entirely, and slam into it sideways. But hey, at least you're airborne now. Flying also comes with responsibilities. Suddenly, everyone expects you to keep up with the family. Mom swoops effortlessly through the trees, while you're flapping along like a busted kite. There's no time for breaks either. Hawks are always watching, and they love a wobbly rookie like you. And then there's food. Mom points to the ground, and you're supposed to figure out how to grab a beetle mid-flight. You dive down with all the confidence in the world, only to end up with a beak full of dirt. Mom just stares at you, probably wondering how you're even related. Flying is harder than it looks, but you're a crow, you've got this. Well, eventually. Here's the thing about your species. You're very smart. At first, though, you don't know much. You learn by watching. You keep an eye on the older crow show. They dig through the dirt for insects, flip over leaves to find hidden snacks, copy skills. Practice makes perfect. If one of them drops a nut from a branch to crack it open, you're right there trying the same thing. Shortly after, you also learn about predators. You don't start out knowing which animals are dangerous, so you follow the adult's lead. Hear that sharp, urgent caw? That means danger. You don't stop to think. You duck into cover and stay still. Over time, you pick up on the patterns. You learn which shapes in the sky mean trouble and which ones don't. Social skills come next. The adults communicate constantly, caws, postures, little gestures you hadn't noticed before. You mimic those too, learning how to fit in without causing too much trouble. It's a lot to pick up, but you're getting there. And then, there are humans. They leave food everywhere, scraps, crumbs, and leftovers. You figure out where they drop things, when they're distracted, and how to grab what you want without getting too close. Some humans even offer food. Others try to shoo you away, which is hilarious because you remember faces. If they cross you once, you'll make sure they regret it later. Revenge isn't just satisfying, it's efficient. At some point, you realize it's not just you, your siblings, and your parents out there. There's a bigger picture. The local murder your extended family, and a few neighbors becomes your social circle. It's chaotic, but somehow comforting. Foraging with the murder is your first real group activity. If someone finds food, word spreads fast, and everyone shows up uninvited. It's not exactly a cooperative effort, more of a free-for-all, but the numbers work in your favor. More eyes mean more chances to spot something edible. Then, there's the warning system. If a predator shows up, the whole group rallies. One crow spots it, and within seconds the alarm call spreads. You scream too, because why not? It's very loud and strangely effective. Hawks, cats, and other threats learn quickly that this neighborhood is not worth the trouble. Fitting in takes some effort. You watch the older crows to learn the unspoken rules, who to approach, who to avoid, and how to hold your own without stepping on too many feathers. It's a delicate balance, but you get the hang of it. The murder might seem like chaos from the outside, but it works. There's safety in numbers, a constant buzz of activity, and a sense that even in the mess, you're part of something bigger. As you get older, you start spending less time with your family group. You still stick close to the murder, but your focus shifts to exploring on your own. The pull toward independence feels natural. There's a whole world out there, and it's time to see what it has to offer. Solo foraging, finding food, a sandwich win. Other times, it's a humbling experience, like when you mistake a piece of plastic for something edible. Trial and error is part of the process, and you're quick to learn what's worth grabbing and what isn't. Independence has its risks. Without a sentinel crow keeping watch, you have to rely entirely on your instincts. A rustle in the bushes or a shadow passing overhead means you freeze, assess, and act fast. Most of the time, you're quick enough to avoid danger, but there are close calls, like the time you nearly became a hawk's lunch. You've learned that sharp reflexes and a healthy dose of caution go a long way. Even though you're forging your own path, the murder is always there. When food is scarce or predators are a little too bold, you rejoin the group. Foraging together is easier, and mobbing predators is far safer with backup. One afternoon, you're minding your own business, poking around for something to eat, when a fox comes out of nowhere. It jumps, charging straight at you. You flap your wings like mad, and barely make it to a branch. The fox jumps after you, snapping at your tail feathers. But you're faster. You let out a sharp alarm call, and within seconds, reinforcements arrive. The murder swarms in, dive-bombing the fox from every angle. You join in, swooping just close enough to make it flinch. The fox yelps, spins, and bolts, running for its life as the crows chase it all the way out of the area. You shake yourself off and hop to a higher branch. Crisis averted. Stupid fox. But soon, everything will change. One day, while you're perched on a branch, a hawk comes out of nowhere. You do not even see it coming. There is no warning, no chance to react. In an instant, you are pushed from the tree and fall to the ground like a stone. A while later, a human walks by. They see your body and crouch down, tilting their head like they are trying to figure out what went wrong. They poke you gently, maybe even whisper something, not realizing you are beyond help. Your murder watches from the trees. To them, this is clear-cut: the human killed you. That is all they need to know. From that day on, they make the human's life miserable.